Hi, my name is Danni, and I'm doing a PhD here at the University of Lincoln in the School of Computer Science, and it kind of has like a sub-focus of psychology as well, so I'm working with the School of Psychology.
Tell me a bit more about that and about your research and what's going on within that.
So my research focuses on this kind of idea of transitional games, and it's not a new term, but it's kind of a term that we've coined and kind of defined, and it's kind of defined as games that have been used to support an individual or a group of individuals through a period of transition, whether that be kind of emotional, physical, so like the stages of grief or like transitioning to university. And that's kind of what my research kind of mainly focuses on, is whether video games or whether a game can be used to support students through the transition to university, and whether that can be used to reduce any kind of worries, fears or anxieties that students may have during that process. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a rough sum of what my research is.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting.
We're using a game that my supervisor and a couple of us created in the first year of the pandemic. It's called Lincoln Island, and it's kind of this piratey simulation game of the university. So it's kind of, you walk in the university and it's like a virtual campus. So students get to explore the campus without having those kind of pressures of getting lost. It's more like a fun environment.
That is really cool. So how would you even go about making that? Like, what has been your process since doing your research all the way through?
So the game was kind of had bare bones of when I started my research. It was already kind of on the Microsoft Store, but we've kind of developed it and kind of added parts to it to make it more of like the supportive game, like adding kind of areas where like students can go do breathing exercise, like to calm down any anxieties or worries, or there's like parts where they can learn about their course and go find student well-being and learn about coping mechanisms to do with homesickness and to do with other bits like that. So we're just adding like little sections, little activities, and I've recently done a study which got kind of stakeholders of the university, so people from wellbeing, people from SU, to kind of look at the game and kind of see what is needed to help students. And a lot of the focus this time was more on giving information out to students on finances. So maybe we might add a little mini game on how to manage your finances and how to help with certain aspects of living, kind of independent living. So kind of things like that.
Yeah. No, that is really interesting. It sounds like it's going to be really useful for students that are already at the university. So it's nice that you're doing something towards that.
It was kind of brought on by COVID and the thought of, some students may have never actually been on campus because of like virtual open days. So by having that kind of virtual experience, you already get to know the campus and kind of find navigational like waypoints throughout the campus. And so it was brought upon by COVID, but it will be useful for future applicants and international students as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that what made you want to go into that, was the whole COVID and working from home and students being based at home as well?
Yeah, well, my undergraduate degree, I kind of focused on how video games and kind of virtual environments can be used to help people, and I liked that aspect of it. So my undergraduate focused on like whether a virtual environment could be used to help reduce kind of anxieties within crowds, and from that I was like, oh wow, I like how like this fun environment can be used to help people. So that's kind of where that kind of came from. And then COVID kind of happened, and I remembered back to my like first year where I was like very nervous, very homesick, not sure what I'm meant to be doing, and kind of having that virtual environment, it might have been like better and a more of a fun way to kind of engage with the community.
Yeah, no, that is really nice that you're doing that, and it's really interesting that you're able to put it towards, what you're working towards for the university. So going into that, tell me a bit about your postgraduate experience. How's it going, and what has it actually been like being a researcher here?
Well, it's definitely had its like highs and lows. I think that's what every person says when they like do a PhD, when they do a postgraduate course, is that there are periods of you're highly motivated, highly engaged, and you absolutely love what you're doing and you can't wait to like do more. But then there are periods of I'm really unsure, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, like what is my aim, what is my goal, and in those moments you go back to your supervisor and kind of reassess what you're doing, and then you get back to that highs. But I think what people should always expect is like, especially through a long project, is having those highs and lows and just pushing through the lows and getting back to that highly motivated, like engaging aspect of it. The community at Lincoln, I mean, the research community here is always so supportive. Like, I always go up to lecturers, or we always have a conversation, and they're more like my peers now, I would say, like the lecturers, and they're always like encouraging, like, oh, how's your PhD going? Can I help with this aspect? Or, oh, like, have you thought about doing it this way? Like, oh, are you collecting that data and that data? So it's always like really supportive within the community, and yeah.
So you're happy and comfortable.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's important, especially when you're doing a PhD.
Yeah, I mean,
so I imagine it's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, and it's a really long time. I mean, it's maybe 3 to 4 years, and that is such a long time to be focused on kind of one project. And yeah, like as I said, like you definitely hit those points, and like it's kind of the midway through, which is kind of where I'm at now. Is I've done a lot, but I've got so much more to do left. And it's like, oh my gosh.
So what year are you in now?
I'm in my second year. When September comes, I'll be in my third year, which is meant to be kind of this write-up period. But I may end up having to go on an extra year because the way I collect my data is at the start of each term, where new students come in and new students kind of roll in and test the game and go through that transition process. Yeah. So I mean, the way my time frame is, I may have to extend it, which is what it depends on your timeline, whether you want to extend it or shorten it. So might go on for another 4 years.
Oh wow!
Which is fun,
yeah.
And like it's how research goes. I may end up not needing that time, but it's nice to not have that rush.
Yeah,
you're able to take your time and kind of do what you want to do, get the data you want to do the research you want, and get the outcomes that you get.
So tell me about your experience moving on from that actually at Lincoln, that how you find in Lincoln as a city, as a university. What's your overview of Lincoln?
Well, I did my undergraduate here, and I absolutely love the city. I love the campus. It's a city campus, but it really doesn't feel like a city campus because it is all kind of enclosed. I mean, there are aspects that are further away, like the Rising campus, and there's like different buildings everywhere, but it never feels like massive. It never feels like you're in a place where you're overwhelmed. Even having the city right there, I mean, I love that. Nothing's ever more than 20 minutes away. So it's such like a nice environment, a nice kind of inclusive environment of you just, everything's at your fingertips. Yeah. I mean, everyone's always so supportive, and especially within like in the computer science school, everyone always asks how you're doing, asks how your research is. Do you want to get involved in my research? Oh, you should do this study and that study, go to that conference. So it's always really nice. Everyone's sharing kind of their knowledge of what they're doing. So yeah.
And how would you find, is there many extra opportunities available or things to take part in?
Gosh, yeah, through doing this PhD, it's not only just focused on research, you get so many different opportunities. Like I got the opportunity to get a job within the school. I managed the social media for the School of Computer Science.
Oh, wow.
And that was like an opportunity I never thought I'd ever get. And I mean, I'm able to go to different conferences through the school. I mean, there's one in September that the University of Lincoln are hosting, and I'm able to go to that and kind of talk in that and be on a panel in that as well, and kind of share my research and share research I've been with other people. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of collaboration between researchers as well. So that's always like a nice kind of extra thing to do, is like hop on someone else's research and get your name on that paper as well. So that's always fun.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on, a lot of opportunities to take part in the stuff.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You're always busy.
I'm always busy. Yeah, PhD is never ending with the amount of activities that you could do. But it's always like fun and engaging. So, yeah,
that's really good. So what would you say to someone looking to be a postgraduate researcher at Lincoln?
I'm going to say the one advice that I was given when kind of going into this PhD is find a subject you're really, really passionate about, because as I said, there are periods of low, but if you initially have that kind of motivation and kind of passion for that subject, then you're going to find it again, like whether you start reading like papers and you go through that period of, I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole a bit, I need to come back, but you still have that passion for that subject. So yeah, that's the one thing I would say, like have that kind of initial passion for your subject, and and then then the degree will go easily. Well, not easy, but it would be easier if you like what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there are some stages where I'm like, oh, do I actually like, this is a very like difficult thing, and like supporting students, or you want to kind of get it right, but it's what I enjoy. I mean, helping people is always something that is good. But I definitely have that passion to begin with, and then you'll go far. So, yeah.
And overall, have you been happy with the university as a whole?
Yeah. I mean,
enjoying it?
Yeah, my PhD has been different because I had kind of a change in supervisor. My supervisor kind of left the uni and is working with another uni, so I kind of have that multi-university kind of collaboration as well, which is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's quite unique because I think every PhD student kind of goes through that. I mean, not every supervisor will stay at the uni, and you kind of have, everyone gets new jobs, everyone goes in places, but having kind of that multi-university kind of collaboration is definitely something that was kind of different and difficult to begin with, but it's something that like, it will definitely kind of look good in the end, and it's very useful to have another university's resources, kind of knowledge base, and kind of different like students to interact with as well, so it's kind of nice and different. But yeah, it's been a strange kind of PhD that I've had, but talking to other like lecturers and academics, they've kind of gone through similar processes as well. So it's a very weird. It's
good to hear like what you do have to go through as a PhD, because it's really useful for people that's wanted to do one and wanted to do research or come to Lincoln University to hear about all the different experiences. So thank you for coming today, and thank you for taking part in the podcast.